Kettlebells have been a fad at various points throughout the past 100 years.
Grüezi dran, Gregory von Lebe Stark here, Marc Rippetoe from Starting Strength. I have to be honest, I believe this guy is a legend in his own right. I've learned so many things from his book, Basic Barbell Training, about the squat, the deadlift, positioning, biomechanics, so on and so forth. I've learned a lot from the Starting Strength content. I think it's incredibly valuable. Now, I'm a young guy, and who am I to criticize Marc Rippetoe Starting Strength? I'm not here to criticize. I'm here to listen and then give my own thoughts. And then I want you to make an informed opinion by yourself. And at the end of the day, this discussion that we're all having falls under the umbrella of whatever rocks your boat, whatever suits you, whatever you like best, whatever you can do to continuously move and train and have fun while you're at it. This is what builds adherence, and this is what's probably the best for you. So let's check out what Marc Rippetoe says about kettlebells.
Kettlebells are an interesting phenomenon. Kettlebells have been a fad at various points throughout the past 100 years. Kettlebells are supposed to be Russian. Russian communism built tough men. I don't want to get into my judgment of Russian culture, although I would like to observe that we won the Cold War.
Now, I can't help but notice to feel the political tension between an American and Russia, the Kremlin. Which is somehow understandable, maybe from some kind of perspective. In my case, I live in Switzerland. We're neutral. I don't care about no wars. I don't care about no political tension. The only thing that I care about is whether the equipment that we talk about is solid and does have some merit or not. On this particular video, I left a comment, and if you're interested, go watch the original video and check out the comment that I've posted. Kettlebells are a fad. I think to a certain degree, we can say the fitness industry has seen a lot of fads and a lot of trends that come and go and that don't have merit, and they just were there for a couple of times or a couple of years maybe, and then they left. However, kettlebells do have a very rich culture and background in history. They date back into the 1700s to Russian markets, and it depends on what route you choose to follow. Other articles point out that the kettlebell was even a part of German training culture, and that the left hand of the Tsar came to visit Germany and he was fascinated with kettlebells and took it to Russia. And there's even other sources that trace kettlebells back into the United States. So I talked to Dennis. Dennis Vasilev says that, they started on the markets, and then strongman took a hold of it, then it came into the circus, and then it became a solid instrument. So I don't think it's a fad because of the rich history it has behind it. Who cares about politics? Who cares about it? If equipment or if something that is so solid, dumbbells, you can trace them back into old Greece, right? It's Greek halteres, they were called back then, right? And that's Greek culture. So if you don't like the Greeks, what? You never pick up a dumbbell, you don't lift?
Any movement performed with a kettlebell, usually, except for a Turkish get-up, is a swinging motion of some sort.
It's not as accurate. You can say usually when you pick up a kettlebell, you do ballistic moves. Well, to some degree. I can do a workout that only involves the grinds. A press, no ballistics involved. I can do a goblet squat, no ballistics involved. I can do a reverse lunge, no ballistics involved. He mentioned the Turkish get-up, which is such a powerful exercise. You can do a reverse lunge, no ballistics involved. You can do windmills, bent press, floor press, no ballistics involved. Deadlift, no ballistics involved. There are a range of very powerful and solid basic exercises that you can do with the kettlebell that have no ballistic movement in it.
Kettlebell competitions and kettlebell training involve multiple reps, lots and lots of reps.
Competitions, he's right. That's where you have a given amount of time, usually 10 minutes, and then you want to do the most reps possible, right? Yet, it's not always doing lots and lots of reps in a in just kettlebell training in general. You can say, okay, you do EMOM like we do. We love that. You say you do 2 minutes, you pick up a 48 kilo kettlebell or pick up a 32, and then you do jerks. And I guarantee you, it will slow down because the weight is so heavy. Your reps will slow down. So maybe do 5 to 10 reps with a 32 kilogram kettlebell. I'm a lightweight dude. So if I start pressing it, I maybe do 5 to 6 reps in 2 minutes. So it's not only high velocity and high reps.
Kettlebell test is, and I'm sure this varies with the federation or the association that you're competing in. The kettlebell test for competition is how many swings you can do in a period of time, 5-10 minutes.
When you are in a competition, you either compete in the long cycle, the snatch, or the jerk. And while a backswing is part of these movement patterns, it is not swinging a kettlebell. But maybe that's what he means. A problem that I see is just breaking it down in a fashion like this, saying, well, just swing a kettlebell. Would be the same if I would say, okay, weightlifting or powerlifting, well, that's just throwing around a barbell, curling a barbell. So you would say, no, it's not actually just lifting or curling it. It's different movement patterns that work. And another thing that I would like to mention is take a look at Pavel's Iron Maiden or Beast Tamer tests. I think guys have to work with 48s. They have to do pistols with 48 kilograms. They have to do pull-ups with 48s. And the third I forgot. And I think women is 24. So that's massive, man. And that requires a lot of strength. So that's what I'm having a little bit of a problem with if you break complex systems down in such an easy fashion, because he probably doesn't know a lot about kettlebells because he doesn't care.
Anything done for 5 or 10 minutes is not strength training. Sorry, it's not strength training.
Sorry.
Anything done for 5 or 10 minutes is obviously quite submaximal.
10 hardstyle swings with a 48 kilo kettlebell, and you do this 10 sets, and every minute on a minute that will equal you work for time for 10 minutes. We could break it down even more. We could say, okay, I'm doing a 10-minute set. I'm working for 10 minutes, and I snatching a 32 kilogram kettlebell. And I put it down, or even just working with a 24 is going to be very heavy for me. So while I do agree that it is submaximal, you still need strength to lift those weights. Even if you go for a longer time. And when you go for a longer time, for example, in my case, I do 20 kilo snatches that are going very well now. As soon as I up my game to 24 and 28, I need more strength. From a biological standpoint, endurance and strength, they are diametrically opposed to one another. I would maybe clarify it a little bit more and say you can build the maximum amount of strength with submaximal loads. Yet, if somebody starts lifting, really never touched the kettlebell before, and you work 2 minutes of swings with an adequate weight of a kettlebell, their hamstrings, their glutes, they will get stronger and build endurance. So that's what the kettlebell does. It does a lot of things. But, of course, if it does a lot of things, it doesn't do everything in a perfect way. If you want to build endurance the perfect way, you got to run marathons. If you want to build strength the maximum way, you got to lift heavy weights.
So the question would be, how do I get stronger in order to swing the kettlebell for 10 minutes? Swing a heavier kettlebell for 10 minutes? Or do your squats and deadlift?
I would say both. And he always talks about swinging. And even a swing requires some technique. But let's break it down about technique. Let's take the long cycle, for example. There's an element of explosiveness involved, which builds some explosive strength. There is an element of resting and racking the kettlebell, where you have to really tense your quads and glutes to be able to keep the kettlebell locked in place. So this all builds strength. This builds stronger tissues. This builds stronger connective tissues. You can get better by improving your technique, swinging heavier weights, and of course, deadlift, press, and squat.
75 kettlebell swings in a period of time is a 75 RM. It's not heavy. And if it's not heavy enough that the last rep is grindy and hard, then it's not building strength.
And this is my perspective, guys. Please let me know in the comments if you have anything to share and add to the discussion, because I think this is valuable stuff. This is my perspective. You don't build, like I already mentioned, maximum amount of strength, but you will build strength because you're working with weights. And if you upgrade the weights, you will build another set of strength. You will become stronger, yet not in the maximum amount possible, of course. Then you got to lift heavy weights, work progressively. You can't build a 200 kilo kettlebell to deadlift it. You got to work with barbells. So that's great for what barbells do. And as we already mentioned, because endurance and strength are diametrically opposed to one another, you have to decide, do I want to combine them and take two good things at the same time together, but not do them maximally, or not use it to the best amount possible? But maybe you don't want that. Maybe you don't want to get the strongest ever. Maybe you want to get stronger, but you also want to build endurance at the same time. That's what kettlebells do.
So what would be the best way to build strength for kettlebells? Same thing that's the best way to build strength for football or tennis or golf, is the exercises that are the most effective at making you strong. The exercises that involve a full range of motion. And those exercises are the squat, the deadlift, the bench press, the press.
If you're an athlete, you probably do some GPP. Call it general physical preparation for your training. And that's where most guys do squats, deadlifts, bench. Yet when you look at Dennis Vasile, for example, he squats according to his specific needs in the sport. So he doesn't go heavy. He works submaximal again, or works a different range of motion because that's what he needs. And maybe now we can ask ourselves, would he probably benefit more if he would go very heavy and ass the grass and just do 5 reps? Maybe, I can't say. Yet if we shift our focus away from the athletic point of view, and it's just for general fitness, general population, you don't need it. You can just work with kettlebells and you will get stronger, build more endurance, strengthen your connective tissues, do something for your heart. You have your own gym. You do something for your low back pain. So all these great benefits that the kettlebell provides. So it's always important to take a look at the whole idea through a specific lens. I believe Marc Rippetoe from Starting Strength looks at the kettlebell from an athletic point of view, and I look at it from a coaching point of view, working with beginners who are not athletes, working with the general population.
Strength is force production, production of force. The ability to produce force is strength, and that's all there is to it.
If you pick up 2 32 kilogram kettlebells and you press it, you strict press it, or you pick up 2 48 kilogram kettlebells and you deadlift it, you need force production. And even if you work the long cycle, which has a ballistic element involved in it, you still need a good amount of force production to bring the kettlebell into overhead top fixation or go down in the backswing and catch it. Right? So still, there is strength involved, but not in a degree that a powerlifter or an Olympic weightlifter needs it or has it.
I will tell you this, the only young person, 40-year-old woman that we've ever had at a Starting Strength seminar that we could not get into a below parallel squat was a female kettlebell champion.
And I do not understand why he mentions this. Marc Rippetoe from Starting Strength understands squat mechanics like no other. So from my perspective, if somebody can't go below parallel, maybe it's mobility issues, maybe it's from an accident, maybe it's the way the hip is formed, the way your joint is formed, the way the hip connects to the femur, the way the head of the femur points into the hips, or maybe it's more vertical, or maybe it's more horizontal. These are things that influence the way you're going to squat. So it's not a problem if you can't go below parallel. Maybe that's just your limitation, and so be it. So I don't understand why he mentions this, and that's another aspect why I think he and his face fits perfectly. He's not into kettlebells, probably because of the Russian thing. That's just my opinion or the impression that I'm getting. And on a final note, I want you to hear what legendary strength coach Dan John has to say about this topic.
It's an either or question, and it has no merit.
Keep going. Okay.
It has no merit. The barbells are good for what barbells do. Kettlebells are good for what kettlebells do. TRXs are good for what TRXs do. The ab wheel is good for what the ab wheel does. So what you got to do with every piece of equipment you have in the gym is say, what are the best exercises to do with this? Well, the kettlebell, it's the goblet squat, the most important exercise ever invented by me. The swing, and probably the Turkish get-up and those variations. With the barbell, I would say it would be the deadlift family and the press family. Mm-hmm. Now, you could also say squats too, and I wouldn't disagree with you. But for most people, you never really need to squat very heavy, so don't worry too much about it.
So thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, like it, consider subscribing if you want to see more kettlebell content. And if you're looking for a kettlebell program that builds you up from a beginner to a slowly advanced trainee in the course of about 3 months, and maybe you want to combine it with some easy to follow nutrition coaching because maybe you want to lose weight or you want to get in shape, then check out 90 Days of Kettlebells. You find the link in the description, 14-day free trial included.